Divorce is never easy. It affects every aspect of your life, including your finances. And today we have Tony Wells with us to talk about the impacts of divorce on your credit. Thank you so much for coming in again. Of course, we love when Town & Country is here. You make talking finances fun. Is that possible?
It is. It is. I call it Fun with Finance, kind of a takeoff on the Fun with Flags, little Sheldon Cooper. But, you know, you try to make it relatable. It's not rocket science in most cases. It's just, you know, getting informed about certain things.
Well, and I mentioned, you know, we're talking about divorce and finances today. Not necessarily a fun topic, but divorce, you know, the stats, it's half of us. So this affects so many people. And what are some of the first things you want to tell people, maybe some of the biggest mistakes people make when they are going through a divorce?
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of couples over the years. The first thing is understand it's usually an emotional thing. Unlike most financial decisions, should I buy this car, can I afford it? Obviously there's other emotions there. So hopefully, if possible, set those aside. And the first thing I would do is get a full credit report and see what's on there. Because sometimes, unfortunately, you don't know what things are out there. Maybe the spouse had opened some credit cards, some joint credit cards. So you want to get a full financial picture before you go in, and assess what's out there. And if possible, try to divvy up who's going to get what. I'd start with the checking account. So a lot of couples, sometimes, you know, they'll have the joint. Some people do. They each have one and they have a joint one. But especially if there's a joint one, I usually recommend closing that down. Just because if you were my wife, Lisa, and things didn't work out, and I was still on that account and you wrote a bad check for $2,000, I am still on that account and still liable. So I recommend closing down those accounts, getting separate accounts to start with.
And that's not necessarily a hard thing to do. That seems like a pretty easy first step, to close a checking account.
It is, yep. You can close it out, come in and open your own, whichever financial institution you're at. That would be the first thing. If there's money in there, obviously that gets a little complicated if there isn't a divorce decree or if there's some animosity between the two. But you want to divvy that up because if there's money in there and it's a joint account, both have access to it. So you just want to protect your financial interest and make sure that it's fair to both parties in a perfect world. And then, like I said, get your own checking account, start from there. And then any joint credit cards and things like that, if you're not able to pay them off, I would still try to close them because any charges on that joint account, even though you may be divorced, if you're still on the account, you would still be liable for those charges because it is a joint account with the bank that two people enter into. So it can get very, very tricky as you try to, you know, kind of take apart that financial situation. A lot of times, too, they'll each have a car loan and they're joint on each car. The best bet there is if you can refinance. And again, if Lisa was my ex.
Why am I the bad guy writing checks like nobody's business?
No,
okay,
no, it could have been me.
That's
it could
true,
have been
true.
me.
There's two sides to every story.
There is, and that's what I learned too. So kind of take it with a grain of salt as I work with members that are going through this difficult process. But if possible, refinance. A lot of people, this is your car, this is mine. And if you're both on there, you would want to refinance just in your name and to get the other person off the title. In a perfect world, you take yours, take mine, and then make sure you get the titles the correct way too. Because you don't want to sign off on the title and be joint on the loan, because if you sign off on the title and you're on the loan, you still have responsibility to whatever bank or credit union that you have that loan with. So it can get pretty complicated.
Yeah, sounds like it. So this is just, you know, we could spend the whole show on this, especially when we're talking about emotions and divorce. But just to recap, get that credit report printed out and then start divvying up those joint accounts, credit cards, checking accounts, and the auto loans.
Yep, make sure what's out there. And then when you can, again, you don't want to be on those joint things because you're going to be joint liable for them.
Thank you, Tony, so much for coming in. We'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Fun with finances.
Fun with finance, yep.
Stay with us. Coming up next, we're talking about the Junior Volunteer Program at Bethany Retirement Living Center.